what am I doing wrong? I work every day and I'm still broke. Like, I have a decent job, I make some decent money, but I live out here in Cali. Like, bro, as soon as I get paid, I have all these bills stacked up, bro, that shit wipes me clean. Like, fuck, I got no money left over. Making 100,000 a year doesn't get you anywhere nowadays.
Able. And we're living in some rough times, really rough times. And we need to be praying for all those around us who are not as fortunate as we are to be able to do the things that we need to do. I'm not talking about extras. I'm not talking about going on vacation and doing fun things. I'm talking about living, taking care of your vehicle if you can even afford a vehicle, putting groceries on the table, buying medicine, the things you have to do. It's sad. It's very sad.
A lot of people are stuck in a dead-end job and they feel like they cannot get ahead. They feel like they're in a hamster wheel just working and working and working, and they can't find a way to escape it. And this is the reality for so many people. You know, making like $100,000 in a state such as California, it's almost the equivalent of making $40,000 throughout the United States. And this is the reality for so many people. You know, it depends where you live also in California. When you look at a city like San Francisco, it is probably one of the top 5 most expensive city to live in the United States. You know, one bedroom apartment can range from $3,000 to even $7,000 depending on where you live. Yes, there's a Silicon Valley that is booming in that area, but most of the tech workers that make about 6-figure salary in that area, they're obligated to probably get a roommate or even get a 1-bedroom apartment because the cost of living is just so expensive in those type of area. You know, you cannot really talk about California without mentioning Los Angeles. When I look at Los Angeles, I see it as a shipwreck. Because when you look at some of the videos that is being filmed in California, in certain places, and you see the amount of homelessness that is basically on the rise, you probably look at it and you say, is this a third world country? Am I watching a third world country? But when you look at it, you see that no, this is Los Angeles. You know, Los Angeles is known for its beauty, for the skyscraper. It is known for the, vibrance, the life, the lifestyle, the celebrities, and all this other thing, film, and so many things that Los Angeles is known for. But recently, Los Angeles is not looking very well. You know, there's a place called Skid Row where you see a lot of homelessness. You see a lot of tent place where just people are basically just laying out their tent and sleeping there because things are just so expensive. The cost of housing is so expensive. The cost of rent is so expensive. And on top of that, you see the increase of criminality. You see the uses of drugs such as fentanyl, heroin, crack, marijuana. You see things such as prostitution, pimping, and so many other things that's happening in Los Angeles that it's basically forcing a lot of people that live in Los Angeles or even in California to move out and to go seek other places throughout the United States. You know, one common area that a lot of people from California are moving to due to the cost of living and due to the, things are getting too expensive, they're moving to places such as Florida and Texas. And even in Texas, you see a lot of people that live in Texas, they're putting stickers in their car basically saying, do not turn Texas into California. Like this young man here, my suggestion to him will be maybe for him to try to look for a different area to live throughout the United States. Maybe he has family in California. Maybe he has loved ones. Maybe he lived his whole life in California. But it will not hurt for him to probably try to explore places such as Texas, Florida, Arizona. Maybe he's trying to avoid the cold weather. Maybe he doesn't want to go to the Midwest or even the East Coast. But he can explore other states where, neighboring states where he can probably find a better life, where if you make $100,000 You can live very comfortably in those type of states. But in California, I think it's pretty hard to live comfortably in places such as San Francisco and Los Angeles when you're making $100,000 a year.
Mad. I'm just mad anymore. There's no reason for me to be like, yay, America, like we're so great, we're so free, we're so powerful. I'm starving. I have to go without so that my kid can maybe have Pop-Tarts once a month. Shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't have to go like, let's see, we haven't had meat and a long time, because guess what? We can't afford it, okay? But yet we're the ones working every day to make this country go round and round. But we're not worth being able to have decent food or the amount of food that we need to have one of our family members go without. I'm done. I'm so done. It shouldn't be this way. And I know that it's not just this way for me.
I feel her pain. She's a mother and she's concerned about how her child is going to eat and how they're going to be surviving because things is going up. Especially when you go to the grocery store, you see the price of meat is up. You see the price of vegetables is up. You see the price of produce. You see the price of fruits. And everything is going up. I think people in America do not appreciate, people who pick, fruit and vegetable for them, especially in the field. Because years back, I went to California, to Fresno, California, actually. And we took a trip with a group of friends that I was with. We went to a farm, and the farmer allowed us basically to walk the field. And you can see it was such a huge field, miles and miles of fruits, different type of fruits. You see vegetables, you see oranges, you see apple, you see peaches. And it was just a long column, just column and column of fruits that you see a lot of workers basically working, picking up fruits with their bare hands and putting it inside trucks and bags and things like that. And we walked those columns or those aisles with those workers. We talked to them, and most of them were illegal immigrants. But it was such a labor-intensive job because they were basically working under a scorching sun, under the sun, and there's nothing really basically covering them. And from that point on, I had a huge appreciation for people who actually pick the fruits, because I love fruits. But, recently, President Donald Trump, implemented laws basically for illegal immigrants. And most of these workers who are essential for farming, especially for farmers, they're basically afraid because they fear of being deported. And most of them are not even showing up to work. And this is having a huge impact on the farmers and the fruits that is basically being produced. Because most of the farmers do not have sufficient amount of workers to pick up the fruit. And now the cost of the fruit will go up. And this will also have a domino effect on the trucker who's basically coming to pick up those fruit. And once the trucker basically drop it off to the retail company will raise up the price, and the consumer, people like me and you, are the one that will have to pay the cost. So this is just a domino effect, and it shows just, decision being made from the White House can have a huge impact on so many sectors throughout the economy. And this is something that is concerning because everything is going up. This is the reality that we have to face. And it does have an impact on so many people. Like this mother here, she's concerned about how she's going to be able to feed her child. She will have to probably make sacrifice on things not to buy, on things to buy. She'll have to talk to her kids about, they have to basically tie the seatbelt because things are about to get a little bit rough. Maybe that little Pop-Tart that the kid like, you might not have to buy almost every week, maybe every month because, things are just too expensive. So It's really hard out here for so many people. Things are just too expensive. Let me know what you think in the comment. Please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Till next time.